Hello, what's up? Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. Welcome back to the channel, and in this video, we're going to make a very super simple cross-cut sled. So for starters, I'm going to cut some plywood. This is just 3/4 ordinary plywood. I am using my jointing jig for a straight cut because I'm sure that it is a straight piece of wood. Now I'm going to use the circular saw to cut my plywood in half, or the size that I want. So as you can see at the bottom of the plywood, there are 4 pieces of wood that I have placed. They are to support the whole plywood, 2 pieces on one side, 2 pieces on the other, so that cutting with a circular saw will be safe. Next, what we do is measure the slot, the T-slot. This is going to be the size of our runners. So the size is exactly 2 cm by 1 cm. I'm going to shave a little bit so that it won't be super tight and will move freely like here. Now that you've got your perfect sized runners, I'm going to use some coins so that to lift the runners a little bit so that it would touch the plywood that we are going to place on top. If you have noticed, the runners are recessed a little bit without the coins. With the coins, they are over the slot, so that will help with the plywood. Now I'm using 2 types of glues, one Mighty Bond and one wood glue. The Mighty Bond is there so that it will adhere almost instantly. And then the wood glue is there so that you will have the durability of the wood glue to hold the runner and the plywood together. If you don't have a Mighty Bond, you can just use wood glue, but it will take some time for it to adhere. I don't recommend only using Mighty Bond because wood glue is another level of durability. Here are some pieces of wood to weigh it down. So now we are going to cut more plywood for the fence. Here we are making the fence. I am cutting it at 4 inches wide. I am cutting it this wide so that it can support a whole lot of projects with various sizes. So I'm going to do 2 pieces because I'm going to glue them together for a quicker spread. So here, as you can see, I'm just applying wood glue in one side of the face of the plywood, and then I'm going to spread it, and then I'm going to glue them together, and that will be the fence. Leave it for a day or half a day. Half a day is decent, a day is better. So that's it, that's the fence. And now we are going to use some spring clamps to clamp it together. Spring clamps are very useful in these types of application, or should I say more appropriate, because it really holds the plywood together. It looks like yung parang hanger, yung sa hanger, but nope. But yeah, you can use it yung pangsabitan ng damit. Dual purpose. Pero dito gagamitin natin how it's supposed to be used as a clamp. As you can see, I used multiple spring clamps to hold it together. In this part, only 2 things. Just make sure it is square. It is square to your fence. Make sure your fence is square to your blade so that sure that your sled is square to everything. Next is put weights on your sled so that it will weigh down the plywood and glue well. Next, also clamp down the fence, very clampy. Make sure all sides and corners are clamped if you're going to do this method, like 2 plywoods, etc., etc. You could use a piece of wood, but make sure it's straight so that your cuts will be straight on your sled. So yep. So now that this has dried, also the fence, this is going to be our fence for the crosscut sled. We are going to assemble now everything. This is going to be at the back. I just got a piece of wood somewhere, so yeah, we're gonna assemble that in the front, this in the back, and then we're going to do our test cuts. We're going to calibrate it square and all those stuff. So let's go. What I'm doing here is I'm just adding a chamfer on the bottom side of the fence so that so that sawdust will not build up under your piece that you are cutting. This is the slot where the sawdust is going to escape while you are cutting. Now I'm just making sure that my blade is square, my blade is straight, so that when I do a test cut, it will be straight agad. So an important thing here, do not glue your fence down on the front. Just screw one here and one at the other side so that you could adjust it later. So true enough, the first cut wasn't straight, so I'm going to adjust a little bit. As you can see, this is the small gap that it isn't straight. As you can see, there's a small gap there. And we are going to do some minor adjustments to fix that. So what you do is remove the screw from one side. I did it from the right side, and then the screw at the left side will be the pivot so that you could adjust the fence square to the blade. So just go a little at a time, and then when you're sure, clamp it down. Always double check that it is square before you screw it in. Here you can see no more gaps. Now you can screw it in. And finally, we are going to do our final test cut. This is just some pine wood, and we are going to cut it and show you that it is square. So there, it is square. That is your super simple crosscut sled. Now you can do multiple projects, so yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment down below what you think, do all those beautiful stuff, and see you in the next one. Bye!